Will your concrete crack? Yes. Thank you for watching this video. There are so many sayings about cracking concrete. Will concrete crack? There's the people who say guaranteed to crack. There's two types of concrete. Concrete that's cracked and concrete that's gonna crack. We always say our concrete is guaranteed against fire and theft. One of my favorites is we guarantee the concrete to crack the first year. If not, we will come out and crack it for you. At any rate, concrete is going to crack. It's just a matter of when. Most of the time it actually cracks the first day. We always like to put joints in the concrete the first day, and if we have to come back after the concrete sets up and saw them, we will do it on the absolute first day we can. A lot of times that's first thing the next morning, or that sometime the next afternoon. Sometimes in the winter it will be a couple of days depending on how cool it is and depending on how damp the environment is. So without getting too deep into the details, when you're mixing concrete, you mix water in to activate the cement. So when the water starts to evaporate, concrete starts to shrink, which creates tension against the concrete and the steel and everything is around. And the tension is more powerful than the concrete, therefore the concrete starts to crack. So the trick to having a patio that doesn't look like it's full of cracks is to cut joints in the concrete where cracks typically occur. So in a way, you're manually creating weak spots or joints in the concrete, and as the concrete starts to shrink, it gives it a place for it to break, and it's a straight line instead of a line that the concrete decides to give you. So while we have guidelines on how big a slab of concrete needs to be before you can cut a joint in it, we also know where concrete cracks. Let's just say if I was cutting joints on an 8x8 square, for instance, but there was a skimmer inside that 8x8, I would have a joint coming off the back of the skimmer. I would have a joint coming off of the back of the handrail and the ladder and the corners, and everywhere that I've seen concrete crack before, we put a joint in. And as sure as we do that, the concrete decides it's going to crack right beside it, about 4 inches away from it. We do our best, but it's gonna crack. The big thing about concrete and bare feet is you don't want a toe stumper. So with reinforcing the concrete, you may have a crack, but you won't have that separation where one moves differently than the other and you end up stumping your toe on a raised portion of a concrete crack. The good news is we reinforce our concrete with fiber or rebar, so it's always nice and level